As I walked into the room on my first day at work at Sunshine Daycare, I noticed something was different. There was a child rocking in the corner, a little girl sniffing everything she touched, and a boy reciting lines from Legends of the Hidden Temple. Did I mention the one who ran out of the room so the counselors had to chase him into the street? I had entered a whole new world. This was my first experience with autism. Working with 7 children on the autism spectrum guided my decision to study psychology when I went to BYU, Idaho. I received my bachelor's degree in 2011. Having studied psychology, I was able to do many research papers on the subject. Autism is a complex spectrum disorder that is characterized by impairments in communication as well as repetitive behaviors. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, about 1 in 88 children are affected with autism. This is a disorder that affects children worldwide. Because it is on the rise, I'm going to tell you what it is, a few different theories of its development, and some suggested treatments for the disorder. I would like to begin by giving a brief explanation of what autism is. Autism spectrum disorder is a general term to describe a complex brain disorder. It is called a spectrum disorder because it affects each individual to a different degree. There are many symptoms involved which are usually obvious between the ages of 2 and 3. One symptom is a difficulty in communication. Children with autism do not hit developmental milestones as most children do. They tend to be delayed in using gestures, speaking, and even babbling as infants. Another difficulty in communication is because of the inability to interpret others' body language or words. For example, someone could interpret a sarcastic remark as being true because of misinterpreting body language or tone of voice. Another symptom of autism is social difficulties. Those affected have a difficult time maintaining eye contact. Oftentimes, when I would speak to the autistic children in my room, I would place their hands on my cheeks to help them maintain eye contact with me. Another social challenge experienced is emotional regulation. Sometimes behavior may seem immature or uncalled for. An example of uncalled behavior that I have witnessed was a boy who would get into trouble. He would walk around punching himself in the face over and over again. One last symptom is repetitive and self-stimulating behavior. These repetitive behaviors include flapping hands, rocking, jumping, twirling, rearranging objects, and repetition of sounds or phrases. Repetitive behaviors can be so extreme that they come in the form of fixations or obsessions in which there is a great depth of knowledge. I had one boy in my room who was fixated on Spider-Man. He ate, drank, and breathed Spider-Man. He even thought he was Spider-Man, and he would run around the room shooting people with his spider webs. He wore Spider-Man shoes and shirts, his backpack and lunch pail were Spider-Man. He knew Spider-Man inside and out. Do you get the point? He is a good example of repetitive and fixated behaviors. Because the occurrence of autism is 1 in 88, there are several theories to its development. Today I would like to introduce you to 2 newer theories. The first of the newer theories is an impairment of bundle nerve fibers. This means that the brains of those who have autism are structurally normal, however they are not regulating properly. Now you may be wondering why this is important. This is an important finding because it leaves the hope that some of the symptoms can be reversible. It suggests that the nerves in the brain are impaired in receiving sensory signals from all areas of the body. The second newer theory is an irregular activity of the hormone called cortisol. This is what controls stress in the body. When encountered in stressful situations, cortisol is released and allows the body to react quickly to the changes. In most normal people, upon waking, levels of cortisol are increased. However, in studies with those specifically diagnosed with a form of autism called Asperger's, they do not have this morning peak. This is an important finding because the chemical changes of cortisol can be an indication as to why those with autism have a difficult time adapting to situations and adjusting to their environment. Because autism is considered a spectrum disorder, this means a wide variety of treatments are available. One route to treatment is through medicine. There really is no medicine, however, that can totally act as a cure. There are certain symptoms that can be controlled with medicine. The Mayo Clinic gives an example of this by demonstrating that antipsychotic and hyperactivity drugs can be prescribed for behavior. Another route to treatment is a therapeutical route. Behavioral therapy is a common therapy that is used in helping children and individuals affected. This is a therapy program that will focus on the range of social skills as well as language and behavioral difficulties Some therapy programs will help teach new skills and use the principles of reinforcement to stop certain behaviors. I actually took a 16-hour applied behavior analysis training course in which we learned to replace self-stimulating and interfering behavior. For example, if the child flaps their arms when excited, they can be taught to clap their hands, which is considered more socially appropriate. I learned in my training that the children with autism are always one step behind normal functioning individuals. They won't outgrow their autism, rather, they will learn to adapt to live their lives as close to normal as possible. Ultimately, the route to treatment is a decision that the parents of a child with autism will make with the help of their doctor. Remember the children I mentioned earlier? There are many children like them who are affected with an autism spectrum disorder. Their abilities to communicate and form relationships are much more difficult than most people's. Because it is on the rise, there are many theories to its development, including impairment of bundle nerve fibers and irregular activity of cortisol. The treatments vary from therapeutical to medicinal, both of which can be beneficial. I hope that I have been able to provide you with a brief introduction to autism and some of the theories and treatments. Autistic children, like the ones I worked with, made life so much more worth living. Life was more exciting. A wise, unknown person sums it up perfectly. God created autism to help offset the excessive number of boring people on earth.